Welcome to the Rise to Shine podcast with Noelle Custis, where we ignite the spark to discover your favorite self. It is time to get real, ladies. Welcome, friends, to another episode of the Rise to Shine podcast. I'm your host, Noelle Custis. Today, we have a solo episode that I'm really excited about, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But before we get started, I wanted to talk reviews. Reviews and downloads are magic in the podcast world, and they help the show grow and reach new listeners. And the more we have, the more it helps the algorithm to push the show out to new listeners. So, to express my deepest gratitude for your support in writing a review, I'm giving away a delicious coffee, pastry, or tea, your choice, on me to one lucky reviewer on each solo episode in September. It was so fun during the summer that I thought, why stop? All you have to do is leave a review for the show on your favorite podcast platform, and you'll be entered to win. Plus, you might even get a shout out. Today's lucky winner is Andrea Unfried, and she writes, "This podcast was very touching. Noelle authentically shares from her heart. We all experience loss or situations that can turn our lives upside down, and Noelle's ideas on how to find the silver linings in our daily lives help us remember what we do have and what we can be thankful for. I especially appreciated her sharing about her personal growth journey. We have to work on improving ourselves and be open to new ways of thinking." Oh my goodness, Andrea, thank you. I am so grateful that this podcast episode in particular resonated with you. And boy, that is so true. We all have more room for growth on this life journey. I think that's why I'm so passionate to do what I do here, because it's a time that we get to be honest and we get to be vulnerable, which leads me right into today's episode and the discussion that we're going to be having. But before we move on, I just want to congratulate Andrea again. Thank you for taking the time to write that. I know we're all super busy, so just to take a moment to write that, I so appreciate you. It really means the world to me. So I will be sending out your gift card as soon as I hear back from you. So speaking of getting vulnerable, I have to get super real with you ladies. And in this podcast, we're going to explore the power of what I call the golden hour method. It's a routine that can truly create days that you love. And we're going to check out the science behind morning routines. We're going to uncover why they're especially helpful for women. And I'll be sharing some practical tips for creating a personalized golden hour that works for you. And guess what? It doesn't have to all be completed in the morning, and it actually doesn't have to be an entire hour. I'll explain. But here's the thing. This is all about accountability, right? I feel like I'm accountable to you guys, to my audience, and I have to admit something. I have to admit that I have been slacking a little bit with my routine. And I have to admit it because I want to say that I'm going to add that by not being as consistent with it, I have felt a huge difference in my days. The days that I stick to it, oh my gosh, ladies, it really creates a day full of purpose for me, and I feel so much more aligned. My mind is aligned, my body feels aligned, and it actually takes so much of the dreaded S word out of my day. And that word is stress. When I am sticking to it, I have learned that it takes so much stress out of my day. So if you haven't already, grab your favorite cup of coffee, Get comfortable in your driver's seat if you are commuting to work or taking the kiddos to school. And let's rise and shine together as we talk about the golden hour method. Okay. So, first of all, I'm curious. Have you ever tried to implement a morning routine? And if so, what did it look like? Did you find it helpful? And if you haven't, what's been holding you back? We hear it talked about a lot, and I know from talking to other women, they usually love it or they are reluctant due to previous attempts that they either didn't stick to it or maybe mornings just aren't your jam. Because I know there's a lot of women that feel that. I get it. I've been all over the spectrum with it, to be honest with you. I started to see the science in it though, and that is what started to change my mind. And then I started to get some training around it when I was just starting my real, like, intentional self care journey. And I saw how much it literally transformed my life. I knew that there was something special to this whole routine thing. And that's why I have put it into all of the programs that I have done with clients. And I specifically talk about this because I know what it can do for you. But I also know that it's okay to have modifications in it. So, first of all, let's go ahead and talk about the science first, because here's just a few facts of the positive impacts that morning routines make. Okay. So, this is specifically looking at some morning routines. Number one, it improves your mental health. So, studies have shown that a consistent morning routine can reduce your stress, can reduce your anxiety and depression, and a regular schedule actually helps to create a sense of control and predictability, which can be beneficial for mental well being. I mean, I want you to think about even your children. For those of you that have children, I want you to think about your child when they are on a routine and when they aren't on a routine, and how different it is. And kids actually crave a routine because it keeps them balanced. It keeps them stable. They're not getting as stressed because they're not feeling as anxious of wondering what's going to happen next. They already have the predictability of what happens next. It's just like when I was a teacher in the classroom, routines were super important. And let me tell you, if I didn't stick to that routine, they reminded me. They were the first ones to go, wait a minute, Miss Custis, we haven't sang our song yet today, or wait a minute, we didn't do this. And they will call me on it because it's predictable and they have an expectation to move into that. It's way less stressful. That's why I think subs have a harder time going into a classroom because they're not on their regular routine, right? Okay, number two, increased productivity. When you start your day with a focused and a really intentional routine, you're more likely to feel energized and motivated to tackle your tasks. And this can lead to even being more productive, and you'll have a greater sense of accomplishment. And then number three is better sleep, because a well structured morning routine can help regulate your body's circadian rhythm. And that is going to lead to improved sleep quality. And this is because it can help establish a consistent sleep wake cycle, making it easier for your body to fall asleep at night. If you don't know a lot about the circadian rhythm, I totally think that you should go and research that, check it out. Maybe it's another episode that we have, because there are lots of people out there that specialize in this and understanding how that rhythm works, how it has to do with hormones. So I think that just inspired me to make sure that we have an episode that covers all of this. But if you don't know what that means, Look it up. You can find a brief explanation, and truly having that routine is going to give you better sleep. But here's a few reasons why a morning routine are particularly beneficial for women. So I found this to be really interesting because there are hormonal fluctuations, and we experience hormonal fluctuations throughout our menstrual cycle, which can impact our mood, our energy levels, and overall well being. So, a consistent morning routine can help stabilize these fluctuations and provide a sense of predictability and control. Then, number two, the caregiving responsibilities. Many of us are juggling with all of these caregiving responsibilities, whether it be with your kids or maybe you have parents that you're taking care of or somebody else. But a morning routine can help create a sense of calm and focus before you start all the demands of the day. And it makes it a little bit easier to actually handle those responsibilities. And then number three, self care. We often prioritize the needs of others before our own. Okay, we talk about this a lot on this podcast, but a morning routine can be a dedicated time for self care, allowing us to recharge, relax, and prioritize our own needs. So, when we have that morning routine, we typically will feel like we have been in a space of making sure that our cup is full and we are working on the overflow. And I'll talk about that in a little bit. But I know women that have a sacred, like morning workout, even. And if they don't have that workout, the whole rest of their day feels off. Number four, empowerment and confidence. A consistent morning routine can boost your self esteem and confidence because when we feel control or in control of our days and we have this sense of purpose, we're more likely to feel empowered and capable to do all of the things that we want to do. So, at this point of the episode, are you feeling like, maybe I should try this out? Or, dang, maybe I need to get back into this. Maybe you're someone that has tried this before. Well, let me share with you about my journey because I want to share with you how it really did change my life. And sometimes when we hear a more personal story, it may have more relevance to us. And as always, I just encourage you to take what you want or need from this. And of course, if you want to start something like this, you can always start small. You don't have to go in for the gusto. Remember, it's about making it work for you. And for me, I've realized that I do much better when I have a plan in my day. This is why I love a calendar. I love a to do list. I love when I get into a flow and feel productive. But I have also realized that sometimes my life can get a little crazy with unforeseen circumstances, a change of plans, or being that I'm a generator and I tend to have ADHD tendencies. Sometimes I just get off track and do what lights me up if something is engaging, or maybe I get a business call and it becomes a personal chat, whatever the case is. But with a routine in the morning for me, by the time like I don't know, let's say 11 a.m. rolls around, I have usually accomplished so many things. So even if the rest of the day goes south a bit, I don't feel as guilty because I've already tackled some of my non negotiables. And for the days that don't go south and I really stick to the plan, I feel so much more satisfied. I feel so good because I'm not a person that's naturally organized. Yeah, you can ask my husband. I'm not a person that is naturally organized, but I have started to create habits that help me in this area. And that has started, or I should say, that is what started to be the game changer for me. But what I also realized, this was an added benefit is that I am not always able to get everything that I want to get in the morning hours, especially when I was working out of the house full time. And even now, the days that I carpool or have early errands to run, or maybe I even have, Zoom meetings or I have an in person meeting, sometimes my non negotiables do have to carry over. And this is when I decided that I needed to create something that is designed to accommodate that. And that's when I came up with the golden hour method because this works for me and it works for a lot of my clients. So I want you to imagine a moment of pure tranquility. I want you to think about that golden light of the sunrise or the sunset. Well, that was the essence of what I wanted the golden hour method to be like for you. Because I love a sunrise and I love a sunset. And I was just really inspired by that serene time because really, when we are in that space, of self care, I want it to feel just like that. I want you to create a sacred space for yourself, even if it's just for a few minutes. The golden hour method isn't about finding extra time in your day. It's really about being intentional and setting aside time to recharge, to dream, to design your ideal day, because this sacred space allows you to reconnect with your true self and fill your own cup. And like I said earlier, it's going to help you operate in overflow for those around you. And what I love even more is that the golden hour method can be broken down into different segments of time to fit your lifestyle. Whether it's a few minutes when you wake up, a longer stretch on your afternoon lunch break, or maybe even a moment before bed, the key is to find a time or times that work for you. And I love it because the metaphor of the golden hour symbolizes a time of transformation and potential. So when I thought of it and I was thinking about what would I want to name this? What do I want this to be? I was thinking just as the sun's rays give the world warmth and light, the golden hour method can light your path to a more fulfilling life. I mean, that is how magical this time can really become for you. This is what makes each day feel so good. When we start stacking these days, it's even better. And remember, one of the things that I always talk about is that joy is a choice. So for me, this is a major part of me choosing joy for myself. So by now, you're probably wondering, okay, well, get to the point. What is included in the golden hour? And again, like I say, we say hour because it takes approximately an hour to get certain practices in. Now, again, don't feel like you have to stick to that, you know, stick to that to a T. I mean, it really is something that you create and design that best works for you. I remember hearing someone say, don't be a servant to your routine. Let your routine serve you. I loved that because when I think of the things that I want to do to make my day flow easier, to keep me healthy in mind, body, spirit, I want to include things that I love and that are going to help me grow. I don't want to do the things that I hate, right? And maybe if there is something that I don't particularly love, and I'll tell you what that is in a moment, I incorporate it in there because it does have to do with my health. And I do it in the ways that I will stick to. Because I don't want to give up in 2 or 3 days because I don't like that time. Remember, this time is meant to be sacred for you. It's meant to be a special time that you look forward to. I don't know about you, but I always look forward to my cup of coffee in the morning. Sometimes, and again, ask my husband, he will absolutely agree that there are times at night that I am already dreaming about my cup of coffee the next morning. But like I tell him, it's not the coffee, it's not the caffeine. That's not what I'm looking for. It could literally be a cup of decaf because I honestly feel like coffee, I have my cup, but it is not something that makes me feel more energy. I mean, I guess if I had, quadruple shots of espresso in it, maybe, but it's the routine of the coffee. So now that I've added more to this routine, it's something I actually look forward to. And I am going to say that there are three things that I do every single day. Even when I mentioned that I had been slacking, I was referring more to like that sacred time that I love in the morning and spending a whole hour. I have been slacking on that a little bit. However, there are certain things that never get missed. And those are gratitude, prayer, and my 2 to 5 must do's of the day. My gratitude practice is essential because it literally starts my day and ends my day. Excuse me, for those of you watching, have a little itch in my eye. But the gratitude practice is one of those things that just now comes naturally for me. When I get up with my cup of coffee, the first thing I do is think of all the things that I'm grateful for in my life that morning. And this puts me in this like headspace of positive energy right from the get go. And before I go to bed, and not before I go to bed, before I go to sleep when I'm in bed, I continue that gratitude practice. And I think of all the things that I am grateful for from that day because I want to make sure that my last thoughts that I have before I go to sleep are positive thoughts because I really do believe that our subconscious mind is so powerful and I want to feed it all the goodness. Before I had started this gratitude practice, I had actually been watching a show on Netflix. This was several years ago. And I'm not even kidding. I had to stop watching that show before I went to bed because I started to have nightmares. I would wake up thinking about it. And it wasn't even scary. Well, I mean, it was a little bit, but not a scary, like jump out at you scary. It was just kind of like one of those mind games types of shows. And it really affected me. So that gratitude right before I go to bed is so helpful. A prayer list is another daily practice. And when I'm on top of my game, I use my journal daily to write down the names and I add names as they come up. I mean, I'll see someone on Facebook that maybe their parent passed away, and I'll make sure that I add them to my prayer list, or I will just say a prayer right then and there. But I don't want to forget to pray for them. And sometimes during this practice, I'll even ask God to place on my heart who needs prayer today. And this has been powerful. I really have some beautiful stories to share about that. Like when you're thinking of someone and you call them and they answer and they say, "Oh my gosh, you must have been reading my mind. I was wanting to talk to you." Or, "Oh my gosh, how did you know to call me today? I'm struggling and I so needed to talk to somebody." The prayer thing is similar to that, where I'll just ask God to place on my heart who needs prayer today. I don't go running and telling them, but it's one of those things that I have had some stories of people share something with me, and I'm like, oh my goodness, I was praying for you today. It's kind of crazy how that works. Then, of course, it's planning my day a bit. So I love to do a brain dump of all the things that are tasks, things that need to get done, or things I want to do. But then what I do is I make sure to highlight the 2 to 5 things that are my must do's. They're the things that have to get done. And the reason why I do this as well is because it helps me prioritize my day. And more importantly, honestly, more importantly, is it takes the weight of the world off of my shoulders. Because here's the thing, sometimes I get paralyzed by things that I have to do, like making that hard phone call or calling your insurance company or paying a bill or running a certain errand that I just don't want to do. I've learned that if I have these things highlighted and these are my non negotiables of must do's today, it takes away about 90% of my anxiety around all of it that has been built up because I was avoiding it. Anybody relate to that? Or am I the only one? I don't think I'm the only one because I see memes about it all the time. And my daughter expresses that she goes through the same thing. But sometimes doing those less fun tasks are the most rewarding in the end. I know it's ironic, but it happens. But here are some other things that I do within the golden hour. So those are my three that like just never, never go away. But I do love to write down my goals, and I always have monthly goals and a 90-day goal. I love it because it's just really perfect to start with because for me, it's not too little, but it's not too long. It feels very manageable. And my monthly goals lead up to my 90-day goal. Of course, if you need to go smaller and you need to break that down into daily goals or weekly goals, that's fine too. But I use these goals to help me to create different things throughout my golden hour. So, for instance, I might use it to create my affirmations because I create affirmations to help me each day to make growth in something and to believe in myself, to be my biggest fan, to cheer me on, to grow my confidence. But I also use those goals for the physical side of me. So, to get my movement in, which isn't always my favorite. That's what I was referring to earlier. Not always my favorite thing to do. But this is where you don't have to go, oh my gosh, I'm going to go to the gym for an hour every single day. If that's not your jam, that's okay. Maybe you'll eventually get there, but it's about creating some type of movement. And for all of my midlife mamas, we need to be doing something because our hips are going to be locking, our knees start to hurt, our back starts to hurt. It's all the things, right? And then even with the stress, our shoulders, our neck. So even if it's just a little stretching, or maybe you add a little cardio, or you like to do some weights, a home workout, yoga, maybe it's a little walk outside, it all matters and it all makes a difference. And if you do more than that, that's awesome. That's awesome. Heck, your golden hour could be going to the gym, and within that time, maybe you're doing your affirmations, you're doing your gratitude, that's your hour of self-care. But you could be doing other things in it, listening to music that raises your vibration. There's so many things, you guys. One of the things that I also love is meditations and visualizations. If you haven't gone there yet, I want to encourage you to do it. There are so many beautiful ones that you can find online. I've even started to create my own, but that's been through my own practice. And I've been using that in combination with some of the breathing techniques. And again, it's just a beautiful way to start the day, getting all that air into our lungs, having that quiet time, having that time to do that practice can really become such a beautiful intention for your life. And like I said, there are so many things to consider. The most important part is that you focus on you. This is your self care. This is your practice to be in overflow. And again, the beauty of the golden hour method lies in its flexibility. Whether you're an early riser, a night owl, or someone with a busy schedule, there's a way to incorporate this sacred time into your day. The key is to ensure that you dedicate time to yourself. I'm going to keep saying that and saying that and saying that. No matter how you choose to break it down, it doesn't matter. That part doesn't matter. What matters is that you are doing things to take care of you. You are doing things for self growth, to level up, and to be in overflow. I honestly, I love it so much. I do want you to be reminded though, that often our biggest obstacle comes from within. Our thoughts, our beliefs, our attitudes. One thing I teach my clients is to reframe negative or limiting thoughts that might be holding you back. So, for example, maybe your original thought is, I don't have time for this. Well, I want you to think of a reframed thought. I deserve this time and I will find a way to make it work, even if I just start with 15 minutes. Or maybe you're saying, I've totally messed this up before. Forget it. I'm not doing it. Reframe this to, today is a new day and I'm always allowed to have a redo, a fresh start. We're all allowed to have that, you guys. And today I'm going to make that happen. If you have to, write down those reframed thoughts and use them as a tool to keep you moving forward. You guys, I could literally go on for hours about this because I get so jazzed talking about it. And there is so much more to go in depth with. So I want to let you guys know that you can join me for a free 1-hour soul-filling masterclass on Tuesday, October 1st or Tuesday, October 15th to learn more about the golden hour method. You will also uncover your deepest why and learn how to design the sacred time specifically for you. I'll be teaching you those techniques so you can create that. You're going to be able to get all of the registration information right in the show notes. And honestly, my heart's desire is to meet you where you're at in this journey as a woman, as a mom, as a next chapter mom, and support it in any way that I can. So join me for the masterclass. It's going to be so awesome. You're going to get a workbook. You're going to be able to join, and you are going to be able to create this and learn a little bit more about it and why and how it can change your life. So you guys, thank you so much for joining me today. And until next time, keep rising, keep shining, and know that the best is yet to come. Bye, you guys. Thanks for joining me here today. Your presence means the world to me. If you enjoyed what you heard, please consider leaving a rating and review. And don't forget to follow or subscribe so you never miss an episode. Head to the show notes and let's connect. Rise to Shine Co. is ready to support you in coaching, collaboration, life tips, or even a coffee chat. Until next time, keep shining, my friends.